Hey guys, I got this shaft back today. You all didn't even know I got it. It's not a big deal. This is a Q-Tech Synergy 15K that fits my Sean's. I've just got it right now on my STL 15. And I got to think, okay, what if I decide I'm going to drink the Kool-Aid and I'm going to switch to carbon fiber shaft? I'm not saying I'm going to do that. Well, you know what? I'm not as against it now as I used to be. Um, my biggest problem with this has always been it's been black. Really, my only problem has been black. It doesn't match. It doesn't match the cube, really. But you go into a tournament out like I go to Derby City every year, and it's a sea of black shafts. It used to be you were a weirdo if you had a black shaft. Now you're kind of a weirdo if you don't have one. That's just the way it seems to me. So uh, this is the second one of these that I've gotten in the 5/16 14, and it comes with a sniper tip on it. The sniper tip, fine tip, and all that. This is all just my opinion. Too soft for me, and seemed too inconsistent for me. So I had this replaced with the Kamui medium hard and the Kamui clear pad. Same as on my other one. I kind of always wanted to have two identical shafts in case something happens to one in the middle of a thing, and you just got to switch. I have a lot of cues. I have a lot of shafts. And I'm pretty sure I've said before that the carbon fiber shafts, playability, hit wise, squirt wise, keeping it clean wise, is that a word? All better than a wood shaft. All of them. My problem has been doesn't match the cue. Black doesn't match the cue. That's always been my problem. But what if I decided I was going to switch? Oh, and although I haven't tried every carbon fiber shaft out there, I'm not a billionaire, so I haven't tried them all. The ones that I have tried, the Q-Tech one is the best for my shooting style, whatever. It's just the best of the ones I've tried. What if I was going to switch? What if I decided, like I said, I'm going to drink the Kool-Aid and I'm going to switch to not only am I going to switch back to low squirt shafts, but I'm going to switch to carbon fiber. What can I expect? What can I expect during that transition period? Because I guarantee there will be one. So the other cue I have on this table, this is my McDermott D21, and I'm pretty sure that I've mentioned in the past that this is my squirtiest cue by far. This is my squirtiest cue. So I thought it would make a pretty good contrast here. Um, the carbon fiber stuff is low squirt, great hit, low squirt, stays really clean, resistant to warps and nicks and all that. Just a color. But so this is my squirty screw. I'm used to my Southwest, more used to my Southwest and my Tascarella, which would fall in the middle as far as squirt capabilities go. Squirt capabilities, whatever. They fall in the middle. And that's kind of what I want to talk about here because I think that's the biggest issue. If you got a cue that doesn't hit as good as maybe you're used to, okay, fine. So you shoot a little bit harder. You don't really have to change your shot line and stuff. You just shoot a little harder. You can change tip. These do have different tips. This has got a Pro on it. This has got the Kamui medium. But for the most part, we're talking about squirt differences in cue. You make this kind of transition, there you are going to notice a difference. Unless you, I guess, if you completely suck, then you might be equally bad with no matter what you shoot with. But that's not my intended audience here. So any cut shot, any cut shot, is going to have contact induced throw. If I'm going to cut this one into that pocket with no spin, contact-induced throw is going to throw the one ball in this direction, to my right. Maybe enough to miss the shot, maybe not enough to miss the shot. Cleanliness of the balls and the rest of the equipment all make a difference on that. The thing is, like with me and most decent players, we don't notice the contact-induced throw in most shots. It just happens, but I know that I cannot aim this cue ball straight at this ghost ball position to put the one right in the middle of the pocket, because it's not going to happen, because contact-induced throw is going to push it that way. But I don't think about that. I don't think, okay, what's my ghost ball position, and I'm going to adjust and all that. No, this is all just subconscious inner pool player stuff. If I was you with no English, it's still through that way. You see that? I didn't do that on purpose. I never do anything on purpose. I do things accidentally. But it hit here and still went in. But it hit here, maybe because I suck, but also maybe because of that contact-induced throw I was telling you about. Another thing that happens on any cut shot with spin, with side spin, left or right side spin on the cue ball, is you're going to get two things. You're going to get spin induced throw, and you're going to get squirt. Every shaft squirts. You're going to get some manufacturers that are going to tell you, hey, this is a shaft that does not squirt. They are lying to you, or they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Any shaft that actually moves the cue ball is also going to make it squirt a little bit. It just is. And I will probably debate that until the end of time. What did I get now? So, I'm going to shoot this with bottom right this time. I kind of think most players, at least most players that I know or maybe have watched, on a cut shot, they'll put a little bit of outside English on it. So when I say bottom right, I don't mean bottom right and draw around and all. No, just bottom right. Just a little bit of bottom right. What'll happen is I'm putting counterclockwise spin on this cue ball. So no matter where I hit the one, that counterclockwise spin, it's going to spin the one that way. It's going to throw it, contact-induced throw. It's going to throw the one that way. A little bit. Depending on the dirtiness of the balls and all that stuff again. How much spin I put on the ball. Did I go a little bit to the right or did I go way to the right? That type of deal. The other thing's going to happen, depending on the cue, is squirt. If I put right English on this ball and I'm aimed along some certain shot line, cue ball is going to squirt this way because of the right English. It's going to do it. Different cues are going to squirt different amounts. So in the case of this thing, it's going to squirt quite a bit. This is my squirtiest cue. And I don't have to allow for that. The most I ever have to do is just kind of like be aware of what's going to happen. You know, I get on the shot. I'm like, okay, this cue squirts more. Remind myself this cue squirts more. But I'm not going, okay, add 10% to my allowance for the spin and all that. No, this is all subconscious stuff. You just get used to it. If I had to switch every shot between him and him, well, I would be much more horrible than I am right now. But you know, that's not the case. If this was my main cue, I'd be shooting with it all the time, and I would figure it out. My subconscious would figure it out pretty quickly. Then, because it squirts so much, I have to aim, if I'm going to use bottom outside, out here more. This is an exaggeration, by the way. I have to aim more this way because I know it's going to squirt more this way and counteract that stuff out. And then you've also got the English and the contact-induced throw, all that. Another thing about outside English is I can counteract that contact-induced throw. It very rarely evens out, but sometimes it can come pretty close. So, as I had said, if I'm just going to cut this one in that pocket, contact induced throw is going to push the one that way. But the spin induced throw is going to push it back this way, assuming I'm using right English. They don't always counteract each other, but they do something. They're working against each other a little bit, so it can be good. If I have a shot that's almost 100% straight in my experience, they can counteract each other completely. If I have this shot that is almost 100% straight in, and I put basically any right English on this shot, a little bit, lot, whatever, then I can counteract that contact induced throw. That was legitimately my first shot of the day. No, that was my second shot of the day, sorry. Again, I'm not doing it. It's just subconscious stuff. You just get used to it. So when I shoot a shot with a squirty cue, except there's three things that happen. Contact induced throw, trying to push the ball this way. If I'm using outside English, spin induced throw is trying to push the ball this way. Squirt is trying to squirt the cue ball over here, which would cut the ball more this way. So I've got two things, two of those three factors, trying to make this 8-ball hit the long rail if I use right English. If I use right English on this and I missed it, because this is a squirty cue, for me, odds are pretty good that that's going to happen. I'm going to hit the long rail. I'm going to do undercut it. Now, did I undercut it? Or did I over squirt it? I believe I probably over squirted the shot. My subconscious, hell, isn't used to this damn thing. That's what happened. So now, get back to the main topic of this thing. Low squirt, pre-low squirt. Same damn thing. The same things all happen. Contact induced throw is going to push the one that way. Spin induced throw is going to push it back this way. But I'm not going to have as much squirt. So if I miss this shot with right English now, I'm liable to overcut it. Liable to overcut it. And when in reality I didn't really overcut it, in reality I undersquirted the shot. English is going to be the same. The cut angle is going to be the same. Okay, why did I miss one time this way, and I'm likely to miss another time this way? It's the squirt. Y'all knew this. I think you do this. So I don't have to do this consciously. But if I remind myself and my inner pool player is kind of in tune and I'm kind of used to the cue and what's going on and I kind of half-assed know what I'm doing, there's a part of me that's not going to be aiming this one at the pocket. It's going to be aiming the one to miss it on this side because of the squirt. Because if I aim to put it in the pocket based on this cue, it doesn't work to put it in this way. So usually all I have to do is just remind myself, this guy does not squirt very much, and I can, hopefully put it in a hole. That's all the outside English. If you want a shortcut or whatever, you're just 100% not used to a cue that is a low squirt cue. First time in your life you ever switched, and now all of a sudden you got a carbon fiber cue, carbon fiber shaft for Christmas or whatever, and you go, man, I want to play well with it. So the tendency is to keep wanting to do this, overcut on a shot with outside English. That is the tendency if the cue doesn't squirt as much as you think, as much as your subconscious thinks. That's the tendency. So if you want a shortcut, maybe don't try to put this 6 in the pocket. Try to put it here. Try to try to undercut the ball. Try to undercut the ball because your tendency is going to be to overcut the ball until you get used to it, until your subconscious gets used to it. So, so I would aim and tell my subconscious, hey, put this ball a little bit to the right of the pocket. Then I might make the shot. It might counteract that tendency I have to put it this side of the pocket. And the reality is that I've been playing long enough with enough different cues that it's not a big issue. I had to do that on purpose. That's what happens a lot with lower squirt shafts. The lower squirt shaft than what you're used to. It's not what happens with lower squirt shafts. I didn't mean to say that. If you're used to a low squirt shaft, that's not going to happen to you anymore. The ball's just going to go in, and win. But if you're used to higher squirt and you just switched, that is the tendency of what's going to happen. Is you're going to miss it like you overcut it. You can overcompensate a little bit on that shot. Anyway, what am I yammering about? So, those are outside English shots. As I said, I believe most people shoot a little bit of outside English on cut shots. I know that for a fact that I shoot a little bit of outside English on a cut shot. And there are those three factors. Contact induced throw. I want to put the 15 here. Spin induced throw. I want to put the 15 back over on the short rail. And squirt. I want to put the 15 back here. Because I'm going to squirt the cue ball this way instead of right at the 15. Exaggerations. Inside English is a different animal. You still have the three things that are happening. They interact differently. With an inside English, if I'm going to shoot this 15, say with top right, I want to go up there for some reason. There's a ball down there I want to get to. I'm going to shoot this 15 with top right. Contact induced throw is still going to happen. It's still a cut shot. It's still going to try to push this 15 into the long rail. Spin induced throw is now going to be working with contact induced throw. With outside English, they're working differently. They're working apart. With outside English, I'm trying to get the ball that way with right spin. But the contact induced throw is trying to get the ball this way. So they're working against each other. The inside English, they're working together. They're in cahoots. So with left English on this cue ball, now all of a sudden this 15 has two reasons to hit this long rail and not go in the pocket. And the only thing keeping it from hitting that long rail and going in the pocket is the amount of squirt that I get. So with inside English, all I've really got is the spin induced throw. Hopefully to get it, or not, forget I just said that. I'm not going to do this video again. I've got the squirt. With inside English, I want to squirt over to like here. Because I know the contact induced throw is going to push the 15 that way. The spin induced throw is going to push the 15 that way. So my only hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi, is that my squirt fixes that. Or my inner pool player, my subconscious and all that, used to the cue and all that stuff. It's just these are the differences, okay? On an outside English shot, the tendency when you first switch to a lower squirt shaft, the tendency on outside English is to look like you just overcut the shot. Maybe you didn't overcut the shot though. Maybe you undersquirted the shot. With inside English, it's the same thing. The tendency is going to be to hit this ball full and hit the long rail. If I'm going to use left English, I got those two things both working toward me, trying to push that ball into this rail. The only thing that would help me would be squirt. But guess what? This cue doesn't squirt as much as what I'm used to, what my subconscious is used to. So the tendency on inside English is to have it look like you just undercut a shot. But maybe you didn't undercut the shot. Maybe you undersquirted the shot. After all that yammering. So I get on this shot right here. I'm going to put top left on it, like I just said. It's completely different than if I got on here. It's a completely different aim point. I have to aim this to undercut it because I still know it's going to squirt, but not nearly as much. If I shoot with the D21 at the same shot with the same top left English, I have to basically aim at this diamond. And I'm not doing this consciously. This is my subconscious. I'm lined up on it and I'm seeing where I'm aiming. With this cue, I'm aiming for about here. My subconscious is aiming for about there. It's not going to squirt very much. Yes. See if I can make the damn shot after all this yammering. Yeah, kind of iffy, but it did go in. There are going to be other things that someone that switches to a low squirt shaft are going to notice. If they switch from a stock shaft to a low squirt, they're going to notice. A lot of these could just be me. They're subjective. I have never felt with a low squirt wooden shaft that they are as consistent as a stock wooden shaft. I don't really know why that would be, because I mean the low squirt stuff is all laminated and pie shaped and supposedly exactly the same in all radial directions and all that. I just have had some shots and I'm like, well, that was the weirdest thing I ever saw, and inconsistency, don't like it. You know, with the carbon fiber shaft, you don't have that as an issue. You just don't have that as an issue. I like everything about the carbon fiber shafts, except for the color, and I guess I'm getting better at that. Where'd that hit? Did I hit the long rail? So I may have overcompensated on that. It wasn't very much of a cut, but still, it didn't squirt enough. Low squirt shaft didn't squirt enough to counteract that contact induced throw and that spin induced throw. They were both conspiring together to push the ball into the long rail. At that time, they were successful because it didn't squirt enough to counteract that stuff. So I have to look like I'm going to cut that ball more than I was. Again, this is all just a feel thing. You swap to a cue, to any new cue, whether you swap to carbon fiber shaft or you swap from a Sean to a Josh, whatever you do, there's going to be a transition period. And that transition period is usually a little bit painful at first. I guess especially if there's money involved and such. But you know, you just get through it. And I think it's mostly the subconscious, the inner pool player that gets through it. I can't even imagine spending a lot of time if I were to switch to something like this, figuring out in my head, okay, it squirts 10% less than I'm used to, so you got to change your angle by 10. No, screw that. You just shoot and you get used to it. But when you make that switch, those are the things that you need to look out for when switching from any shaft to a shaft with lower squirt characteristics, in my opinion. Remember what I was talking about? Low squirt, overcut. Looks like an overcut. That was almost certainly not an overcut. That was almost certainly an undersquirt. That just happened. Figure it out. Let my subconscious figure it out. I'm better off. I myself am better off just shoot shots like that And I feel like I get used to it more quickly than if I spend a lot of brain power trying to remember every time. Oh, squirts less. Next, oh, it squirts less. Uh, that can work for some people, I guess, if they have better concentration than me, which is probably everybody that's ever picked up a pool cue. But for me, I have faster results by just shooting and paying attention to what's going on. And knowing the fact that a low squirt shaft on outside English, it's going to look like you just overcut the ball if you miss. With inside English, it's going to look like you undercut the ball if you miss. You just kind of, and noticing, like, what just happened? Was my shot line really that bad? Did I misjudge the amount of English I had on the ball? Or did it just squirt less? Well, usually it's the fact that the squirt characteristics of the shot were different. And my inner pool, I can go, oh shit, Dave, I forgot. Next time I'll get it right. Trust me. And eventually he'll get it right. All right. Thanks, guys.